Hello and welcome everyone. This is Type V3 with a gunpla review of the 1 to 144th scale, high grade MS-06S Zaku 2, the renowned Red Comet as it appeared in the OVA Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin. Inside of the Origin Zaku 2's box, you'll find 12 items, 9 of which are the main plastic runners, then there's one large set of polycaps, a small foil sticker sheet, and a medium sheet of markings. All the pieces here are new, and as such, you're treated to the most modern build process of the Zaku yet, and it's remarkable. The kit's engineering pushes the limit of what's normally associated with being a modern HG, yet despite the increased involvement, the difficulty never crosses the challenge barrier set by high-grade standards. If you ignore the fact that everything is connected by polycaps and ball joints, this model kit essentially has a full inner frame. It's definitely a fun and engaging build to say the least. Upon assembly, you're greeted with a very familiar mobile suit, only a touch more red. Actually, I'm fairly confident that Gundam purists will detest just how red this Zaku is. That aside, I think the straight-built visuals are fairly decent. The important elements, that being the proportions, colors, and general resemblance to the on-screen model, are great. Color and parts separation are excellent too. There's no real deviations or any other detail that's absent, and the only mandatory sticker needed is the pink mono eye. That said, the surface sculpting is almost completely drowned out by the vivid red color scheme. If it wasn't obvious, this kit is in dire need of panel lining, and to be honest, I'm not sure how satisfied straight assembly modelers will be with the unpainted presentation. Other areas to consider touching up would be the small gray details on the rear of the lower legs, as well as the top of the backpack. Seamline coverage will be most effective in the forearms and the left shoulder pad. The red plastic does form quite noticeable nub marks, so do take care when cleaning these if a full paint job is not in the cards. Also recall that this kit includes a marking sheet. Now, while I have used all the labels as instructed, there's still plenty to choose from should this interest you. All in all, the foundations for a great looking kit are here, you just need to put in a little more effort yourself. The Zaku 2 stands at the expected height of 5 inches tall. Its size isn't all that big a deal though, as I'm confident the all-red color scheme will be the first visual attraction. Articulation on the Zaku Origin actually starts with the head here, and the top of the head is on a regular ball joint, but at the base of the neck, it's weird because there's actually, and I'm going to take this off, there's actually a hinge there at the base, but this bottom hinge is actually connected into the torso on a separate ball joint, so the whole base of the neck moves around. In total, you get some really good range with the head, but before I put that back on, I should show you that it does have the little notch there, so if you move it to the side or whatnot, you can get the eyes to move to the side as well. So that's just a little trick, but again, the head articulation is really good on this. I mean, up motion is pretty good, down's pretty good. Side to side, you get some pretty good range in all directions. I'm pretty satisfied there. The torso, you do have your basic waist swivel, but there's actually this, again, a really cool engineering mechanism where there's a secondary hinge at a joint, much like the neck, and it connects just to the backside of this chest plate. The result is you can actually pull the whole thing back and then forward to get a bit of an ab crunch, and you can see a little bit working right here. There's a little bit of a plate that reveals itself just to show you how this entire mechanism works, and it's really useful, and these hosing pieces just don't even get in the way, so I'm really impressed by that. The arms themselves have their own neat tricks. First off, before I touch upon the arms, I'm going to talk about right here, this side of the torso, because as you can tell, it's connected on a hinge, and this hinge goes inwards. And in addition to that, you also get the ball joint polycap that pops out on its own. So together, you can get the arms to move in just like that. Really good stuff, and it's very natural. It's not like well, maybe from this side it's not as natural, but it looks pretty good when you use it in action. This shoulder pad here is on a separate hinge, so it comes out so that when you move out the arm, it doesn't get in your way. And it's a similar story with the shield on this side. I mean, this can move out of your way too, so it's not a big issue. You do have a bicep rotation, double jointed elbow, which is fantastic. I mean, check out that range, pretty good. And then, quite simply, just a ball-jointed wrist. The lower half of the body is interesting too. First off, these hip skirts at the front, they are assembled separately, so you don't have to cut them, but they move out like this. The side hip skirts are just on ball joints, and they come out and move out just enough, but they're also on a slight rail, so you can shift them backwards just to get a bit more range out. I mean, that's the entire gap you get, and this is the ball joint, so you can tell it just slides back. I'm going to leave this off for now just to show you how this works, because as you can see, the hip connections themselves are also on a moving track together, so this gets the whole hip assembly moving forward just for a bit more high kick action. You get about that far forward. The side ones with the hip skirt attached. No real problems. You do have a thigh swivel, and despite being a slightly oval shape, you get the full thigh swivel, so there's no issues there. You have a double jointed knee. It works pretty good, a bit more than 90 degrees. I wish it was slightly further, but this is okay. And as for the ankle, it's a hinge on a ball joint, so that's most of the motion you're going to need. But there's also a secondary mechanism here. It's actually a toe joint connected with, I guess, the midsection of the foot assembly. And when you use them together, there's a little bit of an automorph gimmick, or an auto maneuverability gimmick. And it's tough to show on camera, but there you go. And that gets you just a little bit more range. And then to move it back, the whole thing just collapses together. So it's really cool. I like it. It helps a lot more than you'd actually think it would, but it's very good. Articulation here is all about context. Is this the most posable mobile suit? Nope. But is it the most posable Zaku? Well, for a high grade, it certainly is, and it would easily give the real grade Zaku a run for its money. There's a decent offering of accessories with this kit. Hand options equate to a pair of gripping fists, a left open palm, and a right trigger finger. Weapons start with the Zaku 2's anti-ship rifle, and it's certainly deserving of the name. It's a mean-looking gun with a nice large lens. The kit has no issues holding the gun despite its size either. Next up is the bazooka along with 3 ammo clips. One can be placed into the firearm while the other 2 can be stored on the shoulder shield. From here, the bazooka can be operated much like any other weapon without issue. Also, you're provided with a clamp that pegs onto the mobile suit's backpack, so when the bazooka isn't in use, it can be neatly stored away. For melee options, 2 versions of the Heat Hawk have been included, a normal-sized one and a slightly shrunk-down version with a peg. The latter is simply a display version that's storable on the Zaku, while the former is the actual weapon you'd want for combat. Finally, an action-based adapter has been included to further assist with flight displays. The 1:144th scale Origin Zaku 2 is a very fine model kit, and provides a well-balanced experience for beginners looking to get the most variety out of the gunpla hobby. The build is fun and engaging and represents the latest standards in high-grade model kit technology. The visuals are good, though with the addition of a marking sheet and heavy panel detailing, it is a kit that encourages the modeler to take that extra step in presentation. Accessories cover all the bases and nothing hugely crucial was missing. Again, it's a well-rounded model kit experience. Of course, there is the argument as to what this kit's purpose is, considering that there's already a real grade Zaku 2, which is largely the better kit overall in this scale. Well, to get the obvious out of the way, this high grade is based off of the Origin redesign, and you won't find any other Zaku 2 that looks like this one. More importantly though, this HG is easier to approach with its lower price point and less complicated build. Furthermore, the kit feels toy-like in its playability. There's no fuss or fear of fragility here. Ultimately, the high-grade Origin Zaku 2 is a release that seriously impresses. If you're after a great model kit experience that doesn't break the bank, this kit is for you. But that's all for me. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this look at Char's past. Still, this is only one side of the classic tale, and I think it's time we revive an old friend.